My Lords, Members of Parliament, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for taking the time to join us here today. My name is Linda Lee. I'm a lawyer and a former president of the Law Society. Ahead of International Women's Day on the 8th of March, we remember the plight of women in Iran and seek support for those engaged in the daily fight for women's rights and basic human rights in Iran. This day is also to commemorate the life of Lord Waddington, a true friend and supporter of the people of Iran. We are fortunate that we will be addressed by prominent members from both houses, lawyers and women's rights activists who will speak far more eloquently than I on the systematic repression that targets women and also give us the benefit of their ideas as to how we can all assist to bring about change in Iran to ensure freedom and basic rights for all.
Honourable members of Parliament, dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, I sincerely appreciate your attention to the situation of women and human rights in Iran on the occasion of the International Women's Day.
The day for not observing the forced dress code. According to the law, women must obey their husbands. They are deprived of the right to vote if they get.
In addition to the ruthless suppression of dissent, which Iran's theocratic government exerts over all of its people, women face systemic discrimination and oppression from a legal system which views them as inferior to men. In April last year, the Iranian government deployed 7,000 so-called morality agents whose task was to punish women for wearing the hijab in an incorrect manner and other activities deemed to be un-Islamic and therefore unlawful.
And we must persist, and the UK government has a role in doing this, and I know I speak for all the parliamentarians here today when I say that we will continue to speak up on this issue, both globally and nationally, to make sure that things are not done in the name of British people, because my sister-in-law, she is British too, and she would never want it done in her name. So thank you very much.
She took her daughter on holiday for 2 weeks and took her to meet her grandparents. When she was returning from Iran, she was stopped at the airport and she was taken away to prison. And the daughter, Gabriella, who's 2 years old, was given to her grandmother. Richard wasn't there. Richard hadn't gone on holiday with them because of the troubles of getting a visa, actually, with a British passport. So Nazanin Radcliffe is dual nationality. She had travelled there. The daughter was taken away. She was initially put in solitary confinement in prison. And that's been since April last year. We had no contact with her. Richard got in touch with me to say, can we help? Can we get her out? We negotiated with the authorities so that they do now have visits of Gabriella going and seeing her mother. But very strangely, the prison authorities said to her she could either have her daughter, her 2-year-old daughter, living there in prison with her, which is not a conducive environment for a child to be living in, or give up the rights to visit her daughter, which I really thought was absurd.
But if we have to pass on the baton, we also have to shine a light whenever we have the chance. That is the purpose of the meeting today. And we have to hold the Iranian regime's feet to the fire and to bring our own government's attention to these violations and depredations. Because, as you heard from Tony Clark, under the so-called moderate Rouhani regime, over 3,000 people have been executed. And let's be clear then about the nature of this brutal regime, which executed 87 people only in the month of January of this year. 87 people executed. It has one of the worst records for capital punishment anywhere in the world.
But of course the focus on what we're talking about today is about what we can do to help people who are in Iran and still in Iran to change their regime there. And of course, the focus of the resistance, the focus of what is happening, comes on those people who are in Iran who are suffering the oppression, the lack of rights, the crushing of dissent, the cruelty, the imprisonment, the lack of employment rights, forced marriage, oppression for many, many women from when they are young, going through to lack of employment rights, not being able to travel abroad without the permission of their husbands, and the fact that their testimony in the court is worth about half of the testimony of men.
I support the Iranian resistance for a number of reasons, but most importantly because of the way Iranians have been treated at home and abroad. At home, they've been slaughtered in their thousands and have been set to live an undemocratic future of purgatory against resistance. I've read some of the reports that are in some of the things that's been handed around today about the way women have been treated throughout the historic time of this particular regime, and it's appalling.
My father. And actually, I think I've spent 20 days altogether. I think it's 20 days that I was with my father, and those are always the best memories that I carry with him.
There's only one message that Iran will understand, and that's punitive sanctions for every terrorist adventure it embarks on. And it's seriously time the Revolutionary Guard was added to the list of proscribed terrorist organisations